The right guard on the punch, and he goes, he can probably talk a few guys into it. He goes, I had to twist some arms, but I think he can talk a few guys into it.
That's it, man. It's part of the hustle, you know what I mean? And then, as you start to show these guys, players that you coach that have gone on and are playing in the NFL and making money on because a lot of that has to do with special teams. That's a huge deal, and I think that's a huge motivator.
All right, so obviously but when you look at overall, okay, from the defensive side of the ball, how do you feel you filled in gaps with the guys assigned yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, I think the guys in December, the guys that we signed yesterday. I think that we'll end up. You're never done, right? I think we've acquired on paper some good talent. Unfortunately, right, the game's not played on paper, and as I was just telling Lena, I wish that they ranked recruiting classes 3-4 years down the road,
exactly,
right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you're ranking them on what they did in high school. And, when I worked for Rich Rodriguez, he had a great saying, if you want to be a really good college player, be a really good high school player first. In order to get that, be where your feet are, in other words, right? And if you want to play in the NFL, be a really good college player. And I think that's critical. And so, I think it's hard on these young men as they get so much admiration and publicity in high school. It's hard to handle that, you know what I mean? And so you come in here at this level, it's a different game, and it's at a different speed, it's a different level of work, and so again, I'm very happy with the guys that we have here, but it's our job now to formulate a team with them.
And then, because when we talked in December, obviously, you said that Coach Cunningham said, there's still more holes to fill, whether transfer portal, obviously guys signing, but I mean the gap now. Obviously, people can be excited, and as well as I do, it comes down to winning. Everyone's going to say, hey, all right, now let's see the winning, but it's going to take time. But with the guys that came in, how much excitement do you think that in the recruiting world for you guys that built around the program?
I think there's a huge buzz, right, with how yesterday went and the transfers in December and the guys that we signed in December. I mean, it's palpable. You can taste it and you can feel it, and that's a good thing. But the expectations when you're building a program is what you want for fans, right? You want them to be excited. As a coach, you got to temper those emotions, right? Our job is to put it together and produce. So it's great that we have that energy around the program. It's to be expected in your first year, though. I think it's bigger than probably it's ever been with a lot of our connections locally, right? And then what we've done in the short stint. But I think all that goes away when we kick the ball off against Southern Utah, and then it's what can we do from a production standpoint.
And then, I mean, you dealt with it obviously as an assistant head coach here, a head coach. I mean, James Rashada comes in, the quarterback group is actually jam-packed, which from a competition standpoint, I know for you guys is phenomenal. What does that do just in general for the offense, for the quarterback room?
Well, I think first and foremost, it's like I told a buddy of mine the other day who's coaching a high school team, and he was talking about, hey, I got this guy that is going to join my program. I'm worried about the talent in the room, it's too much, And I said, look, man, as a coach, you can never worry about acquiring too much talent to your football team. You got to worry about managing the talent, but let's get the talent there, and then we'll figure out how to manage it. And just like anything, in a competitive world of sports, business, whatever you want to label it, the best will rise to the top. And and then you cultivate your culture the right way. Those guys will rise to the top. I think what happens now in this day and age, I think you see it a little bit more obviously, is if you're not the top guy, guys tend to leave, right? And there's obviously been some neat stories about guys that have stayed and have flourished, and I think that's pretty remarkable. I mean, I think if you look at Georgia and Stetson Bennett, all the ups and downs he went through to end up being I mean, it's still, man, nothing replaces discipline and hard work. And it's like I tell my kids, my own kids, there's nothing. You can't have any other type of discipline if you don't have self-discipline. And I'm a big motivational guy, and I listen to a lot of David Goggins, and I just think, man, at the end of the day, discipline it equals freedom. If you do the little things that you're supposed to do, guess what? The big things are coming. And that's where that freedom and excitement comes into play. You got it, absolutely. You got it.
Charlie, why don't you talk about some of the edge players that you signed? Elijah O'Neal, what does that guy bring to the table?
Yeah, he's a big-bodied guy at a Butte Junior College. You know, former GA Robbie Snelling, who I replaced, is the head coach up there at Butte, was instrumental in helping us. AJ Cooper did a great job and you know, initially getting that rolling and recruiting Elijah and building that. So excited about Elijah, big frame, has a motor, love his length, and think that he's going to be very productive for us.
Another guy, Prince Dorva, very highly recruited out of the state of Texas. What do you see from him on film?
Yeah, I think, you know, Prince has some explosive elements. I think, you know, the biggest thing to get Prince here and allow him to play fast. You know, I think that's probably something when you watch his tape at Texas where he was thinking a little too much time to time, and we've had those conversations. Prince, though, is you know, he's got a great character, like just a charismatic young man that lights up a room, and I expect you know, good things from him in a leadership capacity as well.
I think out of all the transfers, there's only one guy that was a 5-star out of high school, Clayton Smith. What do you see from him?
Yeah, I think that Clayton is has an elite first step. You know, I think that he's going to be able to do an outstanding job of getting off the football and creating havoc from the edge position. And he knows that, and we've had a lot of discussions just early on in him being here that I believe that in him, and I think that he has the ability, if he handles his business and does the right things, that he could be a Sunday player. But I want to say this too, I think there's some guys that are on the roster, you know, that are here that can really help us. You know, I think when you start talking, you know, BJ Green's a guy that I think really has a chance to come back and help us. There's some older guys that have been here. It's not 3 and 9 talent.
Sure.
You know what I mean? It's these guys can help us win. And so I'm looking forward to getting these guys together in the spring and mixing them up and working with Coach Amy and really putting a good, you know, down 4 on the field.
And the last newcomer I wanted to talk about, and I think it's always a great testament to the staff when somebody commits sight unseen. Ashley Williams, it was like bam, bam.
Yeah.
What do you think about him?
I think Ashley and Clayton both, right? You know, because neither one of them had taken visits here, and I think Coach Mons had a big hand in that with Clayton and Ashley. You know, Coach Carrington had a big hand in that, and it's the trust in those people, and then, you know, just, hey, willing to get on the phone, get on a FaceTime, listen to us, and be able, and that's the great thing about, you know, I think, you know, when you look back at COVID, how much Zoom and stuff became, how that's helped recruiting, and at least being able to see the face and get to know them at least a little bit. And so we're grateful for those folks entrusting their kids to us, and, you know, we expect to fulfill those promises.